Hello, my name is Andrew. Today, what I'll be speaking about is the doctrine of Rastafari. Now, please understand, if you read African history, you would have known that the Ethiopians had their hands in enslaving the Negro nation, right along with the Arabs, the Pilgrim, right along with the Portuguese, the Chinese, the Arabs, the Indians, and some of the other African nations, and the Caucasians, who had their hands in enslaving the Negro nation. Now, these individuals who are in the doctrine of Rastafari saying that the Ethiopians are the Israelites, that is incorrect. They are not the Israelites. Number one, the Ethiopians are of the seed of Ham. So how can they be Shemitic? Number two, the Ethiopians were the Sumerians, and they dwelt in the Gaza desert as well. They are Hamitic, not Shemitic. And two, this Bible pre-existed before the Rastafari movement. The King James Bible pre-existed before the Rastafari movement, including the Hebrew scriptures pre-existed before the Rastafari movement. As well as I want to say is that if y'all read King James Version, chapter 8 of Acts, from verses 26 to 27, it explains that the queen of the Ethiopians went down to Jerusalem to worship Christ and to hear the doctrine of Christ. The Israelites and Ethiopians are two different nations, and it proves it right there. In Acts chapter 8, verses from 26 to 27, it proves it. So how can the Ethiopians be the Israelites when they are two different nations and they are Hamitic? And I want to prove it. Number one, right? When they when the scientists were studying the skulls of different African nations, they was comparing the Negro skull to other African nation skulls. What they realized is that the Ethiopian skull was very similar to the Egyptian skull, and the Egyptian skull was not closely matched to the Negro skull. Their skull shapes were different. And also I want to say this too, right? That not being racist or hateful, I'm trying to save people from the lake of fire. If people don't believe in Christ, neither God, they are already condemned. They are tossed into the lake of fire for not being a believer of Christ. And also I want to say this. The only way an Ethiopian can be an Israelite, that is if their mother is an Israelite. That is if their mother is an Israelite, and that child is from whichever tribe that mother comes from. That's the only way an Ethiopian seed of a male can be an Israelite. But they are of Israel, but they are not of Israel. And also I want to say that during the Atlantic slave trade, the Ethiopians, the Arabs, the Portuguese, the English, the British, the Chinese, other African nations, they had their hands in slavery of the Negro nation. And they bought Negroes from the Sahara Desert of West Africa and other places and sold them to Caucasians, the Arabs, the Chinese, and some of the African nations. And what did the Bible say? That America would be called, that America is Babylon. It is Egypt. It's the new Egypt. It's the new Sodom and Gomorrah. If you look on the back of the $1 bill, you'll see the pyramid which symbolizes Egypt. If you see the bald eagle, it symbolizes Edom, which the Greeks had the symbol of a bald eagle. If y'all look at this arraignment, it's sodomy. They promote homosexual marriages. This is Sodom and Gomorrah. This is Egypt. Negroes was brought here to America by like 400 years ago or 500 years ago. This is Egypt. This is Sodom and Gomorrah. This is Babylon. It said that the Israelites would be placed on ships and taken to Egypt again. This is Egypt, North America. And also I want to say too, y'all, that when the Ethiopians were actually helping enslave the Negroes, they were converted into Islam. And they became known as the Moors. But they, and as well as Negroes and people of other African nations were called the Moors. And they helped enslave the Negro race, nation, and sold them to the Portuguese, British, and other Caucasian nations. So how can the Ethiopians be the Israelites? And I just proven it. I got a book. It's called Exploring Africa. Read that book and it explains to y'all that the Arabs and the African nations had their hands in enslaving the Negro nation. Alright, later y'all. And remember y'all, I'm your friend. I'm not preaching hate. This is not a hate doctrine. This is a doctrine of Christ to redeem people, to lead them to Christ, rather leading them into the lake of fire after they die, or letting them get slaughtered because they are a non-believer. Later, y'all.